I was having a conversation with a relative, and I mentioned how, my job has been treating me like garbage for the past third of a year, and that oftentimes when people are successful later on in life, they can, I don't want to say put on blast, but sort of mention an organization or a set of people in a negative light, and then it's like more effective because it's a famous person or someone who is perceived to have been successful later on, subsequently castigating or publicly criticizing the group or people who were antagonistic to them when they were not as prominent as they are now. Basically, it's someone who later becomes famous or notable, besmirching, something of their past, like a person or a job, and it's more effective because, oh, look at what this job used to do to this, well-known commentator or singer or whatever title that person may later have. And then speaking to him, he was like, "Oh no, don't you don't want to say anything about past employee." And I was this is where we get into those disagreements. When people think of power, they think of, again, fame, influence. This could be, in the political realm, congressmen, senators, presidents. And what I'm getting at is, what's the point of having power, in quotation marks, if you can't do anything with it? Like, if I were, for example, a congressman, and I'm talking about income inequality, international issues, the war, for example, with Israel and Palestine. I don't want to be in a position of power, right? One of the 500 and I believe it's 35 most powerful people in all of America, besides the president and different governors, like, and state legislators, sitting member of Congress. Well, and in being one of the most powerful people in the country who has the ability to, at least to a small degree, influence public policy, I don't want to sit around for 2 years being afraid of, I don't want to say anything critical of my governor that does a stupid podcast while he lets people sleep in tents, or AIPAC might say something about me being against Jewish people when I'm actually just criticizing a government that has a policy which is not critical at all of people of Jewish origin or religion. It's it's one of those things where, again, in having power, there is this expectation that you can use it to the benefit of whatever you believe in. But if you're afraid to speak up for the things that you're concerned about or consider to be of importance, what's the point of having power? Because I talk about how all the time, you have these different members of Congress who are influenced by corporations, right? This is why they do all these corporate tax cuts. They, try to avoid really rocking the boat at all in fear of pissing off their donors. And that's one of the reasons why, when I was talking about running for that House seat, I would not take any money from corporations. It would all be from individuals. And that's, again, to allow myself to not be a puppet of a special interest group. Because, like, what is the point of me, again, being in a supposed position of power if I'm afraid that I'm going to upset this group of people and then they're not going to donate to my campaign and I won't be able to. I just don't see how you can be in a leadership role and then terrified of some, second-hand source. And it goes back to the whole thing with stuff like just general fame or influence. Again, if someone, like, for example, let's say I was trying to become a rapper and my record sells platinum, and then I go and make a song about how crappy this one company I work for now, or at that point had worked for in the past, turned out to be, right? How they were barely giving me any hours, just treating me like garbage, like just crap. Why would I be afraid of a reprisal from them if I no longer work for them, if they can't go after me for free speech? I mean, why would I sit there and be terrified about their possible response? Of course, I'm sure it would provoke a response from them because you'd have such a, again, in this hypothetical famous person rebuking them in this extremely public way. But again, why would I hold my nose and go, oh man, I would talk about this company I was working for that barely, that didn't give me enough hours to take care of myself, but I'm scared of what they might do. That's something I would feel at, now, right, as an employee that's still there. But if I'm no longer working there and have enough money to, never have the possibility of even wanting to run back to them, I don't see why I would be afraid. And really, this another good example of this. I made some video, and I don't remember the title of it. I know I can probably look it up in my Google, my Gmail account. But there was a video I did, and it was about women. And there was a woman who came on there. I called her Gemini Goof. But she, in her comment, was like critical of me. And one line she said really stood out, which was, women who watch this will be less likely or less inclined to like approach you or begin a dialogue with you, right? Because they've seen this video. And, it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Where someone gets like dissatisfied with their romantic life, right? Because of either a lack of advancement or the options, just different factors that lead a person to talk about this stuff in the way I do. And they do a video venting about how just crappy and lousy and rancid the situation is. And they're supposed to believe that by doing these videos criticizing women, the same group of people who already were not paying them any attention are suddenly going to be more motivated to do the same thing. So, it's like if I complained about, I'll give you an example, the cost of food. And I said, man, I'm sick of paying $13 or $16 for one burger. And then I go and make a video and it goes viral. And then somebody says, oh, well, you making this video is going to make fast food places more likely to raise their prices. Like, well, hell, they can do that, right? 14 and 17 or however much more they want to go up to. But I'm still like already not going to buy their stuff. And their prices were already too high for me to begin with. So what difference does it really make? And this goes back to my point of like, I got to a period where, and I'm still in this period, I just didn't believe the woman stuff would ever go in a direction that was favorable to me, right? It was always going to be, you talk to one of them, and then after a few days, a few weeks, she ignores you, blocks you, it goes off the rails in spite of how good it might have seemed at the start. And in coming to the belief that it was always going to be that way, the incentive to do things and to behave in certain ways and to act in certain ways under the supposed allure or of like trying to court one of them just was not a thing that really registered to me anymore. Because if you're convinced, okay, they are always going to be this way, it doesn't matter if I approach them, it doesn't matter if I ignore them, it doesn't matter if I talk to 1 or 10 or 30 or 50, it doesn't matter if I talk to them on the computer, real life, this website, that website, this mall, this library, they will always do the same stuff I despise, right? If you are convinced of that and you say, you know what, I'm going to talk about this, I just need to like, again, vent on just how horrible this is. If you're convinced they're always going to do the thing you don't want, no matter what you do, right? What would make in a video talking about how stupid they are do to change that situation or make it worse? Because remember, it was so bad that it inspired you or compelled you to make a video talking about it. But no, I just don't want to ever get to a point where if I am, again, in an objective way successful, whether that means more money or more well-known, that I am afraid to speak up or talk about certain things. Because again, what's the point of achieving success or power, right? Like the ability to influence things by like either the way you speak about it or talk about it, and then you're just sitting there afraid to address this issue or that topic because of some supposed reprisal that you're going to get from a group of people who already weren't supporting you to begin with. I don't I just think it's a contradiction. Like I don't see why I would want to in my mind, having more power or influence is supposed to come with less and less restraints, right? Because the more of it you have, the less, people you have to do things for and appeal to. And just basically, it's one of those things where if a person who does not have power is like afraid, oh man, if I talk crap to my landlord, I'll get evicted. Oh man, if I talk crap at my job, I'll get fired. But then the person with power who owns their own home and employs themselves is like also afraid of some reprisal from an audience or some random person that does. I mean, it is counterintuitive to desiring to get to that point, because you're still like bound by some fear, and fear when you have power, like actual full unrelenting ability to just do what you want, say what you want, you don't care. It's I don't want to use any analogies here, but it is your world in the general sense of you can say whatever you like, as long as it's legal, do what you want, and you're not afraid of like, oh man, what is this person going to think or say or do? Like it doesn't register, because you have all that you want and all that you need to continue to be successful. So yeah, it's just I think it's a nice contradiction, it's amazing to me that like someone really is going to sit there and tell me that if I'm successful, I'm supposed to be afraid of what this relative will think, or what this job I'm not even working anymore will say if I call them out publicly or say something, about no. If you get to that point, it should be all bets are off. They're just unfettered free speech. You don't care what someone thinks. Again, if we can't get to that point, then getting power has no point.